Why is it that so many of us guys over 60 can look in the mirror one morning and realize, almost overnight, that our chest is completely deflated, but our gut has somehow expanded? It's a pretty terrifying moment, isn't it? You catch a glimpse of yourself, and you just have to wonder, where exactly did all the muscle go, and when did this spare tire show up? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're popping the hood and unpacking the absolute medical reality of what is happening to our bodies as we age, and more importantly, how we can actually reverse it.
Listen, I want to share a little bit of my own story right off the bat because for the longest time, I honestly thought I was absolutely crushing it. I'd step on the bathroom scale, see that my weight really hadn't budged since my 40s and, give myself a nice little pat on the back. But the reality, my body was quietly failing on me. It was secretly replacing my prime, hard-earned muscle with toxic fat. The scale was literally lying to me. Now, by the end of this explainer, I'm going to give you the exact, science-backed clinical blueprint to stop this downward spiral and completely fix it. But first, we really need to understand the enemy.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the hidden fat trap.
To actually tackle this problem, I had to accept a harsh truth. A perfectly normal BMI or a super steady number on the scale was hiding a really dangerous secret. Basically, what you see on the outside does not always match what's happening on the inside. Let's look at this massive 14-year study from the American College of Cardiology. They tracked over 2,600 adults using these incredibly advanced MRI scans. And what they found is that belly fat, specifically something called visceral fat, sits deep inside your abdomen. And it doesn't just sit there doing nothing, it actively wraps around your organs, like your liver and intestines. And honestly, the scariest part? It causes silent heart damage literally years before you ever feel a single symptom. Even guys who weren't technically overweight were showing major heart risk changes if they had that classic beer belly. So breaking this down, it's absolutely crucial to understand the 4 hidden dangers of this toxic visceral fat. First off, it actively releases inflammatory chemicals that just constantly stress out your blood vessels. Second, it completely disrupts your normal hormone balance. Third, it drives insulin resistance, which means your body starts struggling to use insulin, skyrocketing your risk for diabetes. And fourth, it directly contributes to plaque buildup right inside your arteries. Make no mistake, this toxic fat specifically targets us men, severely damaging our cardiovascular health while just hiding in plain sight.
Which brings us to Section 2, muscle failure and sarcopenia.
See, while that toxic fat is creeping in, something else is sneaking right out the back door, and that's our muscle. I will absolutely never forget the day my doctor hit me with the word sarcopenia. According to the updated European Working Group on Sarcopenia in Older People, that's the EWG-SOP2 consensus, sarcopenia isn't just a natural part of getting older. No, it is officially classified as a progressive muscle disease. We are talking about actual muscle failure rooted in adverse changes that happen across your entire lifetime. We peak in our youth, we maintain it in midlife, and then, if we aren't incredibly careful, we lose 1 to 2% of our leg muscle mass and up to 5% of our strength every single year after the age of 50.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real reality check my doctor handed me. It's called the SARC-F questionnaire, and it's a primary screening tool used to sniff out sarcopenia cases. It just asks 5 surprisingly simple questions. Do you have trouble with your strength? Do you need assistance walking? Is it getting hard to just rise up from a chair? Can you climb a flight of stairs? Have you experienced any recent falls? Let me tell you, when you have to stop and honestly answer these questions, it completely strips away the ego. It tells you exactly where your actual muscle function is at today.
Now let's move into Section 3, the sarcopenic obesity epidemic.
So we arrive at pretty much the absolute worst-case scenario. What exactly happens when you combine that hidden fat trap we talked about with actual muscle failure? Well, you get sarcopenic obesity. Clinically, this is defined as reduced lean body mass in the context of excess fat. I like to call it the ultimate betrayal of the bathroom scale. You are essentially skinny fat. You weigh the exact same as you did 20 years ago, sure, but you've traded prime calorie-burning engine muscle for dangerous organ-strangling fat. And the clinical data here is pretty grim, guys. This specific condition significantly increases your mobility limitations, completely tanks your quality of life, and massively spikes your overall risk of mortality.
When I finally realized this was the exact trap I was falling into, I knew I had to make a serious change. But I also knew I had to ditch the gym floor bro science. I needed the real heavy hitters. So I turned to the clinical experts at ESPEN, that's the European Society for Clinical Nutrition and Metabolism. They actually hosted an entire expert workshop specifically focused on protein requirements and exercise for older adults to combat this exact skinny fat epidemic.
Let's look at Section 4, Measuring Your True Health. Before I could actually put their solutions to work, I had to figure out exactly how much trouble I was really in. Looking at the hard data, the actual male norms for body fat percentage are super eye-opening. If you look down at the bottom row there, the gold standard, we're talking the 90th percentile of fitness, for guys 60 and over is 20.7% body fat. Anything over 26.6% means you are officially falling behind the curve. So this was the target I desperately needed to hit. But it begs the question, how do you even accurately measure it?
Well, because the bathroom scale is totally blind to your actual body composition, you have to upgrade your tools. The clinical gold standard here is the DEXA scan. It's a dual-energy X-ray that accurately maps out your exact body fat percentage and specifically shows you where it's being stored. Now, if you can't get your hands on a DEXA scan, no sweat. You can just use the U.S. Army's method. It's just simple circumference measurements of your neck and your waist. These tools strip away the illusion of your weight and show you exactly how much of that toxic visceral fat you're actually lugging around.
All right, here is what you've been waiting for. Section 5, the ultimate rebuild blueprint. So we've identified the enemy and we know exactly how to track it. As I promised at the start, here is the step-by-step clinical solution from the ESPN experts that completely turn my own health around, and it can do the exact same thing for you. The absolute first major key is fuel. You see, older adults have what's called anabolic resistance. Basically, that just means our muscles are stubborn now. They require a way stronger stimulus to actually grow than they did back when we were 20. To overcome this hurdle, the experts recommend that healthy older adults consume at least 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day.
But what if you are already dealing with illness? Maybe you're malnourished, or you're trying to rebuild from some pretty severe muscle loss. In that case, you actually need to bump that fuel gauge up even higher. The recommendation jumps to a solid 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Guys, you absolutely have to feed the machine if you expect it to rebuild your foundation.
Next up is the engine work, actively burning off that toxic visceral fat. Now you might be wondering, should I be doing high-intensity interval training or should I just stick to steady-state cardio? Well, a really fascinating study compared the two directly in older, obese men. And the result? Both HIIT and steady-state cardio effectively improved body fat percentage, total cholesterol, and overall cardiovascular fitness. They both work. So the best piece of advice here, just pick the one you actually enjoy doing and that you'll stick with consistently. So let's bring this whole shebang together. Here is your daily, actionable battle plan to completely defeat sarcopenic obesity. Step 1. Measure your baseline accurately using a DEXA scan or those simple waist measurements. Step 2. Fuel your recovery with 1.0 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Step 3. Train. You absolutely must combine that heavy protein fuel with resistance training to physically force the muscle to grow and blast through that anabolic resistance, alongside endurance training to melt off the visceral fat.
Listen to me. It is never, ever too late to lose the gut, get your strength back, and add high-quality, truly active years to your life. The science shows us exactly how to get it done. The only real question left is, are you ready to finally take control of your biological clock and rebuild your foundation? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today. I really hope this gives you the exact tools you need to get out there and crush it. See you next time.